A very good morning to everybody that's online. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. This is the fourth session of the SkillsFest that's happening all week this week between the 10th and the 14th of July in partnership with the UK Skills Partnership and the Department for Business and Trade in the UK. It's great to have you here all week, every day, on every session. We have different skills providers demonstrating what they can do in the skills and technical and vocational space. And today is the same as all week. It is not unusual. We have a great panel of speakers from all sorts of different companies that are going to talk about what they can do and how they can do it and how they can work in your company or in partnership with you in your country. So it's really great to have everybody on board. Let me just quickly run through the agenda for today for the speakers, and then we'll start with our first speaker. So we have John White, who's heading up Kortext presentation, Fabienne Bailey from AIM Qualifications and Assessment Group, Manny Athwell from School of Coding and AI, Luke we have from Yarway Group, Herbert Lonsdale from the Institute for the Motor Industry, we have John Elsner from Get Energy Field Ready, and we have Christopher Manley from NPTC Group of Colleges. We're going to start though this morning and kick things off with John White from Kortext. So John White heads up partnerships team at Kortext, an innovative 21st century learning business whose platform delivers content needed for higher education and academic studies in line with academics. Kortext higher education institutes to produce results and the company's complex data dashboards which analyze learning patterns and help institutions ensure student access. John, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. Over to you.
Firstly, big thank you, Jonathan, for organising this. Thanks to the DBT as well for involving us. It was a huge job, I think, arranging everything, and we're really very grateful for it. Good morning, everyone. I'm John White. I'm from Kortext. I head up the partnerships team, as Jonathan said. We've reimagined the teaching and learning experience through higher ed. We're moving into other sectors now, such as corporate and K-12, and I'm going to talk briefly about that with you today. So HE and wider learning is changing really rapidly. It was really COVID that was the game changer. Everyone was caught short in that prior to COVID, there'd been attempts to create online learning, but COVID was the game changer, particularly for us. There's a really pressured and changing environment now for universities, for academics, for students, and overall for systems. In terms of modality in academic delivery, there's different modality for course delivery. Students have choice, and there's a massive need for universities to increase enrolment now, which they're doing via online learning. It's not just about getting in, but getting on. So particularly in the UK, but in many parts of the world, there's a big levelling up agenda. So access and participation is all important, as well as course outcomes. And university studies in particular, along with apprenticeships, are providing quality pathways to employment. Expectations are higher than ever from the perspective of students. They're looking for value for money. Universities and everyone is focused on sustainability. The experience in terms of online learning is all important. Outcomes are all important. Community with online learners is something which is very difficult to replicate, because generally online learners are on their own, and student voice is all important in the equation. So there's a very constrained environment, and it's very complex. At the moment, there's high inflation worldwide. There are frozen tuition fees. In the UK, there are multiple systems. Processes are being changed with routines disrupted, and we've got to the point where we've got fully blended classrooms. So learner support really matters. I mean, there are a number of organisations that we've been working with, and these are the kind of comments that they're coming out with. So Sir Tim O'Shea, for example, is saying ChatGPT allows us to do education at a higher level. ChatGPT is obviously, no one knows how it is going to affect education at the moment, and there have been some quite reactionary reactionary responses to its introduction, but it does allow us to ask higher order questions and encourage students to reflect. HESA in the UK is reporting that an average dropout rate is around about 6.4%. So that's up to 176,000 students have potentially dropped out in the last academic year, costing universities in the UK alone 1.6 billion per annum. Universities, happy believe, need to target support at those students most in need. And they go on to say that 7 in 10 students have actually considered dropping out of university since the start of their degree. So this is becoming a real issue. And then Heidi Fraser-Krauss, the CEO of JISC, is saying that digital transformation is more than a strategic decision. It's an investment in the future of an organisation. It's absolutely crucial now that this happens worldwide. So our vision, we want to enable and enrich higher education of tomorrow. And today we're doing it right now, and we want to help all learners fulfill their potential. How are we doing this? Well, we're partnering with universities, government organisations, corporates, and we're delivering the most seamless digital learning experience possible, and we're using data to better support learner outcomes. I think data is the key thing here, and I'm going to go into that in a little bit more detail in a minute. So who are Kortext and what do we do? Well, we've produced a simple single bookshelf. It has online, offline capability. It works across multiple environments, so on a PC or Mac via the internet or via web app, and also Android and iOS. And we've built in advanced AI-powered study tools. We've got 4 million e-textbook and educational videos available. We have academic notes that can be folded in from those who are teaching, PowerPoints, journal articles, course guides, and other content. We have a number of videos that we've actually put up on the platform, but lecture videos and instructional videos can be added in. We have formative assessment tools with a feedback loop for students on any content that they're interacting with within the platform. We aren't a VLE or LMS. We're in effect sitting above that layer, but we very much interact at an LMS level and plumb into the modules that a university or other actually has, so we can connect every student across an institution, a corporate or at government level. We've built in a number of AI-powered teaching tools for academics, which I'll talk a little bit about in a minute. And we have advanced predictive learner analytics through a product called Stream. So Kortext platform is widely adopted at the moment. There are around about 5,000, give or take, universities around the world using Kortext to deliver learning resources to students. We've got 3 million plus student and corporate accounts. This year, we've registered 301,000 new UK users, with 160 plus universities in the UK working with Kortext. 35 of our universities in the UK are using Keylinks, which is a course content curation tool that we have. And 25 plus now moving to a model. So traditionally, a publisher will charge one user, one license. And we're moving people over now to a model called Complete, where a student or an institution will pay a one-off fee and have access to all the university content that they need, or all the corporate content that they need. Examples of that include Manchester University, Exeter University, Aston, Birmingham and Middlesex in the UK. 27 universities are using our predictive learner analytics so that they can now start identifying those students who are struggling and put in place intervention measures to actually help them succeed in their courses. And in total, across the platform, we've got 4 million plus ebooks and videos from over 4,700 publishers, and we're now building up a multi-language experience. So it's been a really big global shift. Multiple overseas universities are also looking for partners for large-scale transformation projects at the moment, and our expansion we're finding is coming from overseas territories. So our offering today, we offer access to content, so all types of content from all publishers under all business models. We have a study application, so it's AI powered and for best use of content for both students and academics and others who teach. We have a number of workflow tools that help with content discovery, the selection of that content, the acquisition and the use of that content. We have an advanced analytics package. It's in fact the leading engagement analytics platform available in the market worldwide. And in terms of service, we've got a superior service under our SLAs to deliver best-in-class support for the university environment as well as wider. Our focus is on digital delivery, so we're extending the VLE/LMS environment and reimagining the connected digital learning and teaching experience for both students and academics. Instantly, when using Kortext, day one of class, we can actually supply all required textbooks and access to those, plus wider learning resources, whether it's from a university or whether it's from a corporate customer, or whether we're working governmentally in the K-12 sector. Using data to understand students is really, really important now because of the big data applications. It offers the opportunity to deliver targeted interventions to support student retention, progression, and all importantly, outcomes. So what we found is what learners want. They want one consistent reading platform. 87% think that their learning should be available on one consistent platform. 72% say digital learning resources should be streamlined and easy to navigate. 65% say course content should be delivered in a variety of formats, and 95% agree or strongly agree that coursebooks should be available digitally at the point of need, with no wait list, which is traditional in the learning market, especially when students access via a university or institutional library. And e-content should exceed the demand for physical books. And this isn't us making it up. This is the Higher Education Policy Institute, HEPI, in a survey that they conducted with UCAS that we very much support. So in terms of the content, I mean, I really don't have time now to go into all the different data points that we are able to show, but this is just a very simple dashboard. So it shows where and when the content was accessed. There's some comparative data capability built in, so we can see usage by session length versus an average as an example. We can see operating system type. We can see the length of learning. We can see the content that's being interacted with and the materials accessed. There are in fact multiple screens that we have as a business, which allow drilling down into individual learners within an institution and to actually view individual study sessions with and the interaction with individual content sources. And obviously those who aren't interacting, then obviously intervention can be set up to actually help get them back on course. We've added to this a product called Stream. Stream is a seamless learning experience, or provides a seamless learning experience married with content and predictive learning analytics to support better learner outcomes. So Stream helps deliver a single view of the learner. And how does it do that? Well, it actually looks at a number of different engagement areas. So building access, for example, logins, submissions, student records, lecture capture, library and ebook use, which we do Kortext as a business, VLE data, and attendance. So it's looking at a number of different areas. We purchased a business called Solution Path, who provide the Stream predictive algorithm, and it's incredibly accurate in that very quickly, for example, in a university first year environment, a university can start building a picture of who their first class honours graduates are going to be, who those are that are going to get 2-1s, those who are going to get 2-2s, and more importantly, those who are going to get thirds or potentially drop out, so that they can intervene and make sure that those students succeed in their studies. I mentioned that we have seamless integration with the VLE/LMS. It allows students to, from Moodle, Blackboard, Canvas, Sakai, D2L or Teams, to have simple one-click access to content. We've built sophisticated two-way middleware which allows this to be enabled with direct links to any tooling that's within the LMS and direct access to analytics. And in terms of customers, we're very much a market leader. We have a who's who of UK, European and further afield universities, to pick a few out: Manchester University, Maastricht University, the ESMT Management School in Berlin, University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg, the British University in Vietnam, and then a number of household corporate names in the UK, such as the NHS, the Stationery Office, TSO, Ernst & Young, CLA, Ministry of Justice, and Waterstones as examples. So I mentioned AI tools, the last part of what I'm doing. We've built in some AI tools which allow automated summaries of any text or any chapter within a text to be generated at the click of a button. We have an inbuilt AI-enabled translation tool allowing any content to be highlighted and translated into 150 languages. It gives context rather than being a literal translation and is very, very accurate. And we allow questions around a text to be automatically generated by academics for use by students, and all the results of those to be collated. And again, that's an AI tool that we built in. Thanks very much, everyone. I understand that questions are going to come at the end of the sessions, and I look forward to answering any questions that you have then. Thanks again, Jonathan, and thanks to the DBT and SkillsFest for the opportunity to present today.
John, thank you so much indeed. Always great to hear all of the innovations that Kortext are undertaking at the moment. And I think it's really exciting that Kortext is starting to make use of artificial intelligence and data in a big way within the background of the system. So brilliant. Thanks for sharing that with us. Next up, we have Fabienne Bailey, who is the AIM Qualifications and Assessment Group Director for Business Transformation and Growth. With 23 years experience in the skills sector, Fabienne will share details of AIM Group's skills accreditation offer to creative, cultural and professional services sector, along with new developments to support international students to enter higher education in the UK. Fabienne, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. Over to you.
Good morning, Jonathan. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm absolutely delighted to be here with you all. Can I just check, Jonathan, that you can see my screen? Excellent, thank you. Welcome everybody. As I say, I'm really honoured to be here this morning representing AIM Qualifications and Assessment Group. My name is Fabienne Bailey and I'm one of the group directors responsible for business transformation and growth. So AIM Qualifications and Assessment Group, if you'll just allow me to explain a bit about who we are to start with. We are a UK and international awarding organisation with over 40 years experience. An awarding organisation in the UK and internationally is an awarding body that is responsible for the accreditation and examining at the end of learner qualification-based courses. So we're regulated in the UK and internationally to be that awarding body. We do operate in over 40 international countries and we support the education and skills sector, including ministries, colleges, higher education institutions, schools and employers who have their own training programmes. As well as being an awarding organisation, we're also what's known as a specialist endpoint assessment organisation, which means that we are also licensed to develop apprenticeship standards, and I'll talk a bit more about those in a moment. And we're also an access validating agency, which means we're licensed by the Quality Assurance Agency for Higher Education in the UK to develop access to higher education diplomas. And again, I'll talk a bit more about those later on in the presentation. So I'd really like to talk to you today about two key areas of our business, one of which is creative and cultural, and the other is the access to higher education model, which can support international students. As I say, we are Ofqual regulated, which is a department for education department that gives us the permission to operate as an awarding organisation, and we're quality assurance agency regulated for the access to higher education provision. In terms of qualifications, we have over 700 different qualifications that can benefit learners in a whole range of sectors. So I'll talk to you specifically about the creative and cultural sector today and health, but we do also have qualifications across the whole range of vocational and technical education. ESOL and English language qualifications are our most popular used qualifications on the international spectrum. But we do offer construction, digital, business, education, and a whole range of other sectors. But by far the most popular it is ESOL and English language at the moment. We are looking to expand our offer of our qualifications and our apprenticeship offer internationally. So hopefully something will interest you today and we can connect after the sessions. We also offer what we call a formal endorsement service to our international partners. And this is where organisations deliver their own high quality training and development. The formal endorsement service doesn't require any formal assessment in the same way that a qualification would, but it does still validate successful completion. So if you are an organisation, an employer that has their own training and development programmes, and you're looking for some sort of recognition and accreditation, we can provide that formal endorsement service with your own logos, with our logos on, that validates and provides recognition for that learning. So that's a bit about us as an organisation, as AIM Qualifications and Assessment Group. I'm now going to talk specifically about the creative and cultural sector. So the creative and cultural sector has been growing quite rapidly over the past few years in the UK, and stats show that in 2021 it was worth £109 billion to the UK economy. The UK was the 5th largest exporter of creative services in 2020, and since then it's been a hugely important and growing sector in the UK and across the globe. So organisations like TV and film companies, video games companies, digital, creative, designers, VFX, animation, a whole range of different organisations do require these creative and cultural skills. The UK government's plan is to grow this even further and grow the creative industries by a further £50 billion. And other nations are doing the same. So, for example, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia see that creative and culture is a key pillar of their Vision 2030, and they plan to highlight the importance of this emerging industry. India's Culture Working Group see it as a growing industry for the economy, promoting job creation, innovation, inclusiveness, and improving the status of cultural practitioners. And similarly in Iraq, it's now supporting the sector and challenging community perceptions that they're only focused on reconstruction and conservation. So many nations really see this as a growing area, and is why we're really focusing it as a specialism for our group. So how can we help then? How can AIM Group help organisations internationally? Well, we have what we call apprenticeship standards, and we've got 27 specialist apprenticeship standards that are bespoke to this sector. So the apprenticeship model in the UK has been a successful model of education for quite some time now, and over recent years it's been tweaked and reformed, and we have 27 different specialist standards in the creative and cultural sector, along with regulated qualifications such as VFX, gaming and animation. We partner with some big names like Creative UK, the largest membership organisation for this sector, Screen Skills, the BBC and many more. And we do this so that we can champion, connect, support and invest in creative people and businesses. We can support employers and training providers to accredit creative and cultural skills programmes. So for anybody on the call today who's in this sector or is looking to expand into this sector, we're here to help and share our expertise, share knowledge, share some of the challenges we've been through, and obviously share the apprenticeship standards that you can use to implement in your organisations. There's a link here which you'll be able to open up when the slides are shared at the end of the week. And this is a link to our webpage that takes you through all the different titles of these apprenticeship standards. I won't read all of them, but there's titles such as advertising and media executive, broadcast and media systems, content creators, cultural and learning participation officer, curator, a whole range of exciting titles that all of you will be able to access with us. This link will also take you to a wonderful case study about a young lady, 25-year-old apprentice who was the first apprentice in the UK to achieve the Media Production Coordinator Apprenticeship. She achieved this last year, and as I say, it was the first in the UK, and she actually achieved distinction level through our apprenticeship standards. So we're very proud of this case study, and it's a good read to explain about how it works with us at AIM Group. Similarly, this case study about a young man, Harjan, he was the first apprenticeship to complete the music production apprenticeship and received top marks in his endpoint assessment after collaborating with the BBC introducing artists. So please do have a read when you get the links. So that's a bit about the creative and cultural sector, but we have the opportunity to talk about some other things today. So I'd like to talk to you about how we bridge the gap to higher education. And there are some links with what John talked about at the front end of this presentation. In the UK, we operate what we call the access to higher education model. And this is a successful model of education that supports second chance learning. So in the UK, the traditional model is that you go to school, then you go to college, then you go on to university. But over recent years, there's been alternative models of education to support the apprenticeship training that I've just talked about, but also for second chance learning. So for adults who've maybe missed out on those traditional routes, or are looking to change their career later in life, or are looking to progress in work, the access to higher education model bridges the gap to higher education. And higher education, we talk about at level 4 and above. So this model helps to bridge the gap and widen participation. So for people who may not have thought they could access degree education, have that chance through the access model. Now, the access to HE model is regulated in the UK by the Quality Assurance Agency, but they don't currently regulate internationally. So what we've done at AIM Group is develop an international model based on the model that we know works in the UK, and we want to share that with international partners. We have a range of 30 different diploma titles, which are at level 3, and level 3 is the entry point that you need to get onto the level 4 degree study in the UK. And our plan is to launch the level 3 international diploma in nursing this year. Nursing, because it's the most popular title that we know is used in the UK, and we know we have a huge shortfall of nurses, and we need to recruit from international partners to be able to support that shortfall. Again, there's another link that you'll be able to open when you get the slides, which talks to you about the different titles that are available through these diplomas. And again, I won't read the whole list, but you'll be able to see for yourself there's art and design, computing, digital, business, education, social work, a whole range for you to choose from. Now, because of the logistics of students coming to the UK and, you know, all of the barriers that creates, we have created a partnership with an online learning partner so that we can offer fully online diplomas to students. So international students who are wanting to access higher education in the UK but need that bridging programme can stay at home, study a fully online diploma and achieve the entry point they need to access a whole range of UK higher education institutions. We've gathered letters of support from a whole range of universities to demonstrate to the students their progression routes. And it's been proven to be a lower cost and higher value option than the traditional foundation degree route. It's more flexible and no examinations are required. So what are the benefits of this then? Well, as I mentioned at the start, we are Ofqual regulated through the Department for Education and can offer that international recognition to international students and partners. Our qualifications and apprenticeship standards offer social mobility, job entry, career progression and continuous professional development. All of this allows AIM to recognise and validate achievement and support our vision of empowering futures. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. My contact details are there, so if there's anybody interested in finding out more, please do email me, but I'll hand back to Jonathan to continue with the presentations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much indeed, Fabienne. Really interesting. I love the way that the apprenticeships and qualifications cover multiple subjects at multiple levels for all the different job types that exist. That's really fantastic. Thank you. Moving on now, we have Manny Athwal, who's from the School of Coding and AI. Manny was awarded Entrepreneur of the Year in 2023 and is founder and current CEO of the School of Coding and its group of companies. Manny obtained his undergraduate degree from University of Wolverhampton.
thank you very much for inviting me, Jonathan, and hello everyone. My name is Manny and I am the founder of School of Coding and AI, which is the UK's largest coding education company. So we teach computer science, coding, AI and cybersecurity to just over 5,000 students here in the UK and about 2,500 students across the globe. So we teach students, but we also do teacher training, which we will go into in a minute. But first of all, I wanted to give you a bit of an insight into the need for our business and what we've been doing over the last 5 years. So as we all know, the skills gap, especially the digital skills gap, has been growing here in the UK, but also across the globe. We've been doing a lot of work with the local governments here, but also the European Commission, where we work with about 11 different country governments to try and close that skills gap by upskilling the next generation in coding, AI, and cyber. We have offices in 3 different locations here in the UK, but we also have an office in India and one in Ireland as well. So a bit of a history into the company. We started in 2017. We have trained about 2,000 teachers so far, and we work with about 2,890 people who replaced directly into work as a result of our training in digital skills. Our core focus is on students who are between the ages of 16 to 30, especially those who are coming out of secondary education or coming out of higher education and want to get into the tech sector. We want to help students not only secure a career, but also help them build their career path in setting up their own organizations in the tech sector so that they can go and find solutions to the world's biggest problems. So about 150 of our own students have started their own companies. One of them is actually now a unicorn with a revenue of 1.1 billion. So that kind of gives you the scale of our programs as to where they can take students. Our idea is that we want to help governments all across the world introduce coding, AI, and cyber in their local regions so that the next generation can really tap into the digital skills and also, whilst doing so, uplifting the economic picture of that country where we work. So we work with multiple organizations here in the UK. Some of the really recognized brands include University of Oxford, BBC, Education Skills Funding Agency, Goldman Sachs, and then across Europe we work with the European Council. In India we work directly with the Indian government, and we are now talking to Azerbaijan and also the Saudi government to go and introduce our programs there as well. So our experience in building the digital workforce of tomorrow, which I've already touched on slightly, but our core focus is always to try and support businesses and educational institutions. And we do that by understanding what the need is in the country where we are trying to fill the digital skills gap. So we understand from businesses what level of skills that country needs so that we can tailor our training and our programs for those businesses. Because a lot of the time when students are taught coding, AI or cyber, there's a massive gap between what the industry needs and what's being taught at education level. So our job is, through our boot camps, to try and close that gap down. And we do that by first understanding a bigger picture in the country, and then understanding what the businesses need. So we provide a number of different programs, and I'll go through 2 of them today. So first of all, our client value proposition, which we're currently working with, for example, with the Azerbaijan government in Baku, is to provide teacher training support. So we provide teacher training support to educational professionals. They can be teachers from schools, primary and secondary. They could be college teachers, or they could be university lecturers, to try and help them understand coding, AI, and cyber. We then also, after the training, give them the resources that they need in order to teach the students, but more importantly, give them guidance which they can then pass on to the students to go and secure a job or start up their own tech company. So the sport packages that we provide, they include a number of different things, but the two main beneficials that come out of it for any organization, whether you're a business or a government, is one, we create a methodology handbook. So we help governments and businesses understand that what is it that's missing? How do we start to fill that digital skills gap in your region? So we create a methodology handbook for professionals to tap into things like, how do we get the next generation to think about coding? How do we get more ethnic minorities into coding and AI? How do we get more females into STEM? So those things are all covered by the research that we carry out in the country. And then away from that, we create a complete curriculum, which is done at the British Education Standards for trainers and teachers to teach coding, AI, and computer science to youth aged 15 plus. And the idea there is that we want to take away the work and the concerns that teachers and trainers have, that if they don't understand the subject, we've given them the training, but we're also giving them the curriculum that's loaded with all the lesson plans and everything that they need in order to introduce coding. So we start on a bigger picture with the government. We move down to business level to understand what businesses need in that region. Then we move down to professionals who are teaching, and then we move down to student level. So we have a e-learning platform which is loaded with over 65 courses in digital skills. These courses are designed to help teachers deliver the computer science and also coding and AI within schools, colleges, and higher education. All the lesson plans, all the curriculum is well structured and already done, so the teachers don't need to create any curriculum or content themselves in order to do the delivery. And we provide the e-learning platforms as part of our delivery service when we do teacher training and also our strategy development within organizations. Okay, so as I was saying, so the second part of our offer is to provide online coding boot camps, which is done for young people who are looking to go into coding, AI, or learn about cyber. The idea behind these boot camps is to help students who are coming out of secondary education or higher education who don't have technical knowledge in order to secure a job in the tech sector. So we provide the boot camp, which lasts over 12 weeks, and we run for 60 students at a time with cohorts of 20 in each group. So it's available to students who are 16 plus, and they can be anywhere in the world. And we have the boot camps running all throughout the year, which can be found on our website. And then lastly, we work with government organizations on a larger scale to help bring coding and computer science into countries where coding or AI is non-existent at the moment. I recently worked with Estonian government and Turkish government to introduce both coding and cyber for those who are coming out of higher education, to help them understand how they can set up their own businesses in coding and AI. And finally, just to summarize, we have three main offers from School of Coding and AI, which is teacher training, which is done online and also face-to-face. So for those organizations who don't offer computer science or coding at the moment, we can train the teachers there. And then we provide an e-learning platform for schools and businesses where they will have the resources to continue that teaching themselves. And lastly, we introduce coding and also cybersecurity courses through our boot camps to young people. Okay, and my contact details should be on the screen, and I'll take questions right at the end. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you so much indeed, Manny. Thank you very much indeed for that. Really interested to hear about the range of your products and your services, and no doubt we'll hear about those again in SkillsFest this afternoon. So, but please stay with us. We do have a question section at the end of today's session, and we want you to take some questions from the public. So next up is Luke Whiting. He is the award-winning entrepreneur, voted 2023 Social Impact CEO of the Year by CEO Monthly, as well as one of the top 10 global education leaders by the Mirror Review. Luke has run and chaired and led award-winning education and technology businesses, of various sizes and scales, and is currently Chairman and Chief Executive of the Yarway Group, CEO of Changing Education and Non-Executive Chair of Influence, Network and Mindset. Luke, are you there?
Excellent. So thanks for the introduction, Jonathan. Great to meet everyone today. I'm going to talk you through Yarway Group and give you a brief introduction to who Yarway Group are. And then I'm also going to give you a bit more of a detailed overview of one of our specific companies in the group called Active Learning and Development. So Yarway Group is a collection of organisations, both international and national, across the UK. Active Learning and Development have been delivering leadership and management training for the past 30 years. And I'll talk more in detail about that element of the organisation. And then we've got also 3 other organisations in the group, each with their own individual specialisms, from professional services in finance, commercial and the legal sector, and health and social care and childcare through Heathercroft, and then IT, digital and cyber through Mindflex. So Active Learning and Development have been an organisation for the past 30 years that have been delivering a range of leadership and management programmes across the 7 continents. Typically, we deliver leadership and management through qualification-based or non-qualification-based programmes. And I think it's really important to note that right now, more than ever, leadership and management is at the forefront of all business owners and business leaders' minds. Recent statistics from the Office of National Statistics stated that 25% of the workforce across the UK and internationally will be quitting in the next 12 months. So it's really important for government organisations, business leaders to really understand what it is that's making these individuals quit and change their jobs. And over those past 30 years, we've really helped clients to understand their company culture, understand their leadership, their leadership charter, and equally to develop their leaders and managers to be their next leaders within their organisation. So over the past 30 years, as I said, we have delivered across the 7 continents. We've worked with government organisations such as the Ministry of Defence, as well as corporations of various sizes and scales. Our approach is somewhat unique to leadership and management training, and I'm going to come on to talk about our award-winning familiarisation process. And it's really a showcase of how we really get into the granular detail of organisations that helps us to lead their transformational process and their change management process when it comes to changing the landscape of leadership and management within those organisations. Our programmes can be both qualification and non-qualification based. So I'll come on to talk about some case studies later on in the presentation, but we've worked with an international government to look at the full rollout of leadership and management training to their different trade bodies and organisations within those governments. And we have, as part of that consultation process, used both international recognised awarding organisations to deliver those qualifications, or also bespoke them to the needs of those businesses as well. So I'm going to talk you very briefly through our client journey and also what we go through in regards to developing our leadership and management programs, so you have some granular detail on those 5 steps that you currently see on your screen. So before we start any program, we start with our consultation process. And during that consultation process, we use our familiarisation process. And that's when we become immersed in the environment in which we're going to deliver our leadership and management training. Now, to give you some examples of what that looks like, we've had our trainers drive trains as part of the training that we've delivered to DB Cargo, as an example. As part of the fire and rescue services, we've had our trainers go out to an incident response. They've wore breathing apparatus as part of training simulation. So what we do as part of that process is to really understand some of the pressures, some of the time constraints that our leaders and managers have to make when it comes to critical decision making. We then, as part of that consultation process, speak to the leaders of the organisation, the owners of the organisation, to understand what it is they want to get out of that training. As part, excuse me, as part of that process, that may be to understand what their business KPIs are. It might be reviewing the business plan, the operational plan, to look at their HR statistics, to understand what is their staff attrition rate, what is their client acquisition rate. We then go on to stage 2, which is our diagnosis process. And we use at this stage a range of quantitative and qualitative data to really understand what it is are the challenges of those organisations. As I previously mentioned, it might be that they have a high staff attrition rate. It might be that they are struggling with customer acquisition. It might be that they are really struggling to generate margins within their business operating model. So we develop, as part of stage 3, a fully comprehensive top-down business leadership and management training program to allow them to take their business to the next level. As part of stage 4, we then implement a program, and as I previously mentioned, that can consist of a range of bespoke modular-based programs, or it can be aligned to a national or international awarding body training qualification. As part of stage 5, evaluating the training, as I previously mentioned, using the statistics and data from the diagnosis stage, from stage 2, we will use those same business metrics to understand distance travelled of the organisation, but also distance travelled of the leaders and managers within those organisations and corporations. So here's a couple of case studies that I wanted to present just to show you the gravitas of the impact of our leadership and management training. So within a public service contract working with a bus company, the annual contract was a £250,000 annual contract. As part of that process, we were delivering leadership and management training to supervisors, which in the UK is level 2, all the way through to senior leaders, which is a level 7 qualification. We identified through the diagnosis phase that the leaders and managers were really struggling to understand the different stages of the client journey. So what we did as part of a mapping exercise was understand where they had slippage within their system, where they had poor customer service, and where they could create more efficiencies, both financially and operationally within their business. And as a result of taking their leaders and managers through a module called efficiency mapping, through the process mapping exercise we did with their leaders and managers, throughout the 12-month program, they were able to subsequently, in the following 12 months, create an £8 million cost saving through remapping and re-engineering their customer journey. As part of a food operative organisation and food manufacturing company that we work with, a £50,000 contract resulted in an £800,000 revenue increase in the following 12 months. That predominantly was undertaken with 20 supervisors, 5 area managers and 1 floor manager to better understand business improvement techniques. So in regards to the operating processes and systems of the organisation, where the food manufacturing tools were placed within the organisation, and the lost time and lost revenue that was creating for that organisation, we again help them to re-engineer the shop floor and then also increase the capability and capacity within their team. In regards to the fire and rescue, we were working with one of currently 27 fire and rescues in the UK that we work with today. And on a £50,000 contract, we looked specifically at how they can improve response time when it comes to critical responses. At present, they were taking on average roughly 10 minutes to respond to an incident. And as a result, we looked at how we can re-engineer the response time as a result of inbound emergency contacts, all the way through to delegation of activities, through to response times and driver simulation in order to get to that incident in a more timely manner as well. So last slide from me, performance history. Over the last 10 years, we have retained 93% of our clients. And I'd like to think that's because of the granular level of detail that we take in order to really understand the pain points of our clients, what it is that they wish to get out of developing their leaders and managers. Across all of our regulated qualification-based programs, we've had a 97% achievement rate over the last 30 years since we've been in business. And we have also, as I mentioned, delivered across the 7 continents. And we have 1,000 trainers across those 7 continents that can speak in a range of native languages. Across those 30 years, we've provided a 400% return on investment, which for me is something that we're very proud of. So for every £1 spent, we return £4 either to the public purse, if it's working with a government organisation, or £4 in revenue generation to the respective businesses. So that's everything from me. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to welcoming any questions.
Thank you so much indeed. Luke, a really interesting look at industry there, actually, because this is a business proposition. So really great for us to see the other side of the fence. And we do have a couple of questions that have come in for you. So do hang around, join us for the Q&A session. Thank you so much indeed. Now we're going to move on to Herbert Lonsdale. And I'm just loading up Herbert's presentation. And Herbert Lonsdale joined IMI in 2014. I've worked with Herbert for a long number of years. He was international manager at an automotive and training and global business and leadership. He has a background in world leading training, professional services throughout the automotive sector. He specializes in outsourcing of automotive training, including engineering and apprenticeships. He works worldwide. He's pioneered new and innovative approaches for delivery of vocational training in many countries, and he is motivated by the sincere interest that he has in best practice and higher professional standards in the automotive industry that benefits both employers and individuals. Herbert, a very good morning to you. There you are, put your camera on. Hopefully you can see the presentation, Herbert. Over to you.
Very much.
We can hear you, thanks.
Very good. Thank you very much, Jonathan, and indeed good day, ladies and gentlemen. As you heard, my name is Herbert Lonsdale. I'm the Global Skills Ambassador for the Institute of the Motor Industry, better known as the IMI. I'm really very pleased indeed to have this opportunity to speak about the transition to green skills and the need for lifelong learning in the automotive sector. We've entitled this slide Our Collective Challenge because I wanted to prompt us all to acknowledge the profound impact of the automotive industry on our daily lives. Now, whether that's the cars we drive or the public transportation systems that we rely on, or the infrastructure that supports it all, the automotive sector plays a pivotal role in shaping our mobility and economic prosperity. However, as many of you will recognize, the automotive sector is currently facing many challenges not seen since the internal combustion engine invented over a century ago that changed the world at that time. In today's world of electrification, circularity of materials and connectivity, we now need to have an immediate attention to our collective challenge to meet the needs and skills challenges created by these new technologies. We've been around for some time, 103 years, and in that context, we have a lot of experience over that time as a not-for-profit organization working in the global automotive industry, and we continue to work around the world to promote and bridge skill gaps, create international standards and qualifications that are fit for purpose today in a modern world of evolving technological landscapes. Indeed, as recently as 2 months ago, IMI opened its China office in Shanghai to support a growing number of energy vehicle TVET training centers in the world's largest electrified vehicles market. We call this the 3 pillars of the IMI. Integrated across the 3 pillars of IMI, first of all, is a professional body and the only uniquely specific automotive professional body in the world, an international awarding organization, and Sector Skills Council in the UK, we share our long experience and up-to-date knowledge and best practice with over 500 IMI approved centres worldwide, enabling local institutions with local teachers to deliver quality assured training and certifications to local students. The rapid pace of technological change demands continuous learning and upskilling. The traditional model of education with its fixed duration and rigid structure is no longer sufficient in today's dynamic world. We must embrace lifelong learning and create flexible educational pathways that enable professionals in the automotive sector and indeed some other sectors to adopt to new technologies and market trends. By establishing partnerships between IMI approved education and training institutions and industry, we can develop training programs, apprenticeships and internships that provide hands-on experience and foster a culture of lifelong learning. These global challenges to automotive education and low carbon mobility include the need to adapt to the evolving technological landscape of the industry. The development of electric vehicles and connectivity has revolutionized the automotive industry. Working on all electric or hybrid vehicles requires skills in addition to those used to work on internal combustion engines, that are often known as ICE. Electric vehicle technologies are evolving and technicians need to regularly update their skills to transition from mechanical repairs to high-level technology-related work, and skill sets must evolve to keep up. And the advent of autonomous driving, which is already being tested in some countries, including the UK, means that to keep pace with these advancements, our educational and training institutions must equip students with the skills and knowledge needed to design, develop and maintain these technologies. It is crucial that we invest in skills need research and development, collaborate with industry leaders, and update curricula to ensure that our educational programs are aligned with the demands of industry and that existing technicians and new automotive graduates must meet new minimum and certified requirements for their occupations. Another significant challenge is the growing need for interdisciplinary collaboration. The automotive sector is no longer confined to mechanical engineering and manufacturing alone. It requires expertise in software development, data analysis, artificial intelligence, and human-machine interaction. Our educational institutions must foster collaboration between different disciplines and encourage cross-pollination of ideas. By bridging the gap between automotive education and other fields and integrating industry with education, we can cultivate a diverse talent pool capable of addressing the complex skills challenges of the future. Government skills policies also need to consider that employers are at the centre of skills needs and have a crucial role to enable the integration between education, especially TVET, and employers. With progressive vocational educational policies, qualification product lifecycle is regularly reviewed and maintained by experts to ensure that the underpinning standards and the qualifications are always up to date and meet international standards. Consistency is maintained through robust quality assurance processes to deliver what the IMI call work-ready people. Importantly, teacher and assessor continuous development is paramount to success. And let's not overlook the importance of inclusivity and diversity. Historically, the industry has been very male-dominated, and women and underrepresented groups have faced many barriers to entry and advancement. It really is vital that we promote diversity, inclusivity, and equal opportunities for all individuals interested in pursuing careers in the automotive sector. By encouraging participation from diverse backgrounds, we can tap into a wider range of perspectives and talent, fostering innovation and driving positive social welfare change. New automotive technologies such as new energy vehicles and advanced driver assistance systems, sometimes known as ADAS, are constantly evolving and they can be complex. Teachers must have up-to-date knowledge and competence in these technologies to provide accurate and quality assured training. Unfortunately, though, Many teachers have not received continuous professional development in these new technologies and are often running courses in new energy subjects that they are not qualified to teach. And many countries will need to review new standards and qualifications to support autonomous, connected, electric, hydrogen and shared mobility technologies. IMI's integrated curriculum, skills and standards development approach is grounded in the needs of industry with qualifications that deliver work-ready people, minimizing employers' needs to retrain automotive graduates. New automotive technologies also often come with unique safety considerations and best practices. And teachers must be knowledgeable about those aspects to be able to educate students on proper safety protocols, handling procedures and maintenance requirements. By emphasizing safety and best practice, teachers ensure that students are well prepared to work with these technologies safely and responsibly. IMI trains teachers to be competent in the new energy vehicle training and new light vehicle maintenance and repair. I'm sure all of us would agree that teachers can be a force for change. And in an industry experiencing rapid change, the role of the teacher is about motivating young students to be the best they can be in an industry with exciting career opportunities and prospects. Engaging and motivational learning is the key to unlock student commitment to excel. Competent IMI-trained teachers and assessors are well equipped to teach not only the theory, but crucially the practical application of new automotive technologies. Teachers play a pivotal role in developing the practical skills of students in automotive education and training. Teachers also emphasize the importance of professional ethics, integrity and responsibility, shaping students into responsible automotive professionals and citizens. IMI certified teachers, trainers and assessors are qualified and trained to possess the necessary skills and to demonstrate how these high voltage technologies are implemented, diagnose potential issues and perform repairs and maintenance. They provide hands-on training, guide students through practical exercises and supervise their work in the study workshop or the actual workshop. With their guidance, teachers help students develop critical skills such as vehicle maintenance, repair, troubleshooting, problem solving, and teamworking. As I said before, the automotive industry is rapidly evolving with new technologies emerging frequently. Teachers with the correct knowledge and competence in new automotive technologies contribute to their own credibility and indeed to the reputation of the educational institution. Industry professionals, students and potential employers recognize the value of having teachers who are well versed in the latest technologies. IMI certified trainers enhances the institution's reputation and establishes a sense of trust among stakeholders, attracting students and ensuring their education aligns with international and industry demands. New automotive technologies often involve intricate systems, software and electronics. Teachers with the correct knowledge and competence can create an IMI-based curriculum with the technical aspects of these technologies explaining how they work, their underlying principles and practical application, result in quality assured outcomes and IMI international industry recognition. IMI certified teachers who work in an IMI approved centre engage in ongoing professional development, attend training programs and can access unique IMI training materials and resources. And with IMI support, both in the United Kingdom and around the world, collaborate with industry experts and stay connected with the latest advancements in technology. This unique engagement with IMI enables teachers and assessors and others in educational institutions and training providers to teach new technologies effectively, keeping pace with the ever-changing automotive landscape. IMI research shows that IMI-approved centres achieve consistent and measurable high standards and superior student learning outcomes, recognised by quality-assured IMI international qualifications. And importantly, integration with industry and TVET education is improved. As I mentioned earlier, teachers lay the foundation for students' automotive careers. IMI-trained teachers and assessors are equipped to provide a comprehensive curriculum, well-structured lessons, and IMI assessments that evaluate students' progress. Through their teaching methods, teachers help students grasp fundamental concepts and build a strong knowledge base. IMI is the foundation to enable students to adapt and excel in their future automotive endeavours. In conclusion, the global skills challenges facing the automotive education and mobility sector are significant. By adapting to evolving technologies, embracing sustainability, fostering interdisciplinary collaboration, and promoting lifelong learning, as well as advocating for industry and diversity, we can overcome these challenges and shape a future where green automotive skills and TVET education thrives. So finally, let me say, let us come together as educators, industry professionals, policymakers, and advocates to build a robust and sustainable automotive skills and mobility sector, and where TVET serves the needs of your country, its industry and society, and paves the way for a brighter, greener future. IMI is here to help. Thank you very much. You'll find my contact details on the next slide. Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Herbert, thank you very much indeed, and always really good for us to hear, I think, about the extraordinary work that IMI does across a range of areas within the automotive sector, but also how you build capacity for teachers and trainers. So really good, and thank you so much for joining us today and sharing that with us. Thank you so much, Herbert.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Now we have Field Ready Limited, John Elsner. John Elsner is an attorney by training, and John's international career began with his teaching for 3 years in rural high schools in Japan, where he was also elected national chairman of a multinational teachers organisation. Since that time, he has managed several not-for-profit organisations, as well as worked in international consulting and logistics, coordinating training groups from multinational corporations and government entities from more than 50 countries. Although he's been affiliated with the company for more than a decade, John formally joined Field Ready in 2021, serving as Director of Commercial Development and coordinating international projects throughout sub-Saharan Africa. John, it's a real privilege to have you here today, and we're really excited to hear about Field Ready. So over to you. Thanks so much.
Hi, everybody. As Jonathan said, I'm John Elsner, and I'm the Commercial Development Director for a company called Field Ready. Field Ready is a company that essentially looks at people, looks at individuals, what their skills and abilities are, and matches that with what employers are looking for. And then we build programs to bridge that gap, which sounds fairly straightforward, but of course that gap could be just about anything. It might very well be people that are lacking some type of specific technical skill, but very often we find that it has to do with attitudes toward work, the way they see their role at work, certain behaviors that they have. Might even be that they have all the education they need, but they need some type of practical experience. And so what we do is we focus on developing individuals, which of course helps the companies and helps the overall community. As you probably have guessed, our name Field Ready comes directly from that. We are, first, we're an Oxford-based company, but we have about 20 years experience running employability programs through our large conglomerate called Get Energy Group. Running employability conferences. And about 8 years ago, we spun off Field Ready to specifically focus on these areas in Africa. And what we're doing is we want people to be field ready in Africa, which is where we get that name. So where do we do this? Of course, Africa. We have programs outside of Africa, a few, as you can see the little asterisk at the bottom that says and anywhere else. But we primarily focus on sub-Saharan Africa, where we run programs in English, in Portuguese, and French. So how do we do this? essentially we partner. We partner with companies, with governments, educational institutions, nonprofits, really any stakeholders, any like-minded people. Governments have interest in developing the workforces of their communities. Companies want to hire people that fit what they need. Educational institutions want to know what it is they need to do to train people to actually get jobs. And so we support all of these groups and partner with all of these groups. It might be a nonprofit that is a continent-wide initiative to run programs, or it might be an individual small manufacturing company in Tanzania. So it's across the board. Our programs can often be, I guess, categorized really into 4 areas: finding, training, retaining, and upskilling. And so why don't we take a look at this very briefly at each one of these. So we specialize in finding and selecting people for companies and for employers. We reach out to communities through social media, through educational institutes, our contacts at certifying agencies, probably a lot of the groups that you've been hearing speaking today. And the idea is to reach out and find a pool of people that are interested in improving their careers. That might even be very old school, like literally putting up posters in villages or having a radio announcement in an area. But we'll gather together a group of people and then put them through a 6-stage selection process that has testing and have them writing answers about themselves. And at the end of that, we'll select a pool of finalists to attend an in-person selection day. And as you can see from some of the pictures here, these groups, when they gather, may work together in programs, do networking exercises, group projects, individual interviews, and all of that is observed by our staff on the selection day, as well as industry experts. So we have people that we call technical commissioners that are through our alliance, and these are people that volunteer their time to help the communities develop employable people. And so we'll work together in observing the students as they go through these exercises and select a group of them to move into a training program. And these training programs are often sponsored by individual companies. So the training programs themselves are a balance between a taught program and a work placement internship type of program. And so they're usually about the same amount of time. It may be 4 weeks each. It might be 8 weeks. It could be longer than that. At the technical institutes, we work with them to develop really high quality pre-employment programs to teach skills that they need for that employment. And we would work in areas like applied personal skills, how to teach critical thinking, how to help people communicate better in the workplace. Maybe health and safety. Much to my surprise, constantly, educational institutes in general across the board around the world spend very little time talking about health and safety until people actually get on the job. And so what we want to do is instill that early on, that we add to that program maybe some technical skills that employers are looking for and language skills. And they'll go through this program, at the end of which they'll move into a work placement or an internship with a company. And the whole idea is at the end of the entire process, they're able to get jobs very often by the companies that are sponsoring them in the program. And if not, they have much greater skills to be able to market themselves to other companies. So there are some companies that will simply sponsor students because they want to have it as a part of their localization process to help local communities. But at the end of the day, the students are always benefited from this, and it's something that is a free program to the students, and they're much more employable at the end of it. So we also work with organizations, the companies themselves, to focus on their their workforce development goals. And that might be something like a company wants to help new supervisors that have never been supervisors before to be able to be great coaches for their junior staff. It might be instilling a root cause analysis mentality throughout the entire company. But the idea is to help a company think out and implement their goals, which creates an environment where people want to stay. And that's really the name of the game, as they say, in a lot of industries, is retention. People move around quite a bit, very often focused just simply on money and what they're being paid. And so what we try to do is help companies create an environment where people want to stay. They want to have a learning environment throughout their time, a place where good communications happen and they have opportunity to be heard and to really maximize their potentials. So we've talked about some of these new hires that we assist in training and finding and selecting and helping with companies. A natural offshoot of that would be to talk about, well, what about all the current employees? And of course, we have programs to support them as well, whether that is a cultural awareness program or professional communications. Companies very often will identify early on high potential candidates that they think are going to move into management, and they want to make a career of this with their company. And so we'll do specialty programs for them. And so upskilling their current staff is a part of this as well. Now we have some specific areas that I think are worth mentioning. One of the most important areas I think we work in is gender diversity. And this is an issue, as everyone would probably agree, around the world, how to allow access to traditionally male-dominated roles and industries, how to let women have access to that. What do they need in order to do that? And so we have lots of programs and lots of examples of this. Two that come to mind. We had a client last year that built a world-class logistics distribution center in Nigeria that needed to hire a large number of electric forklift drivers. So we did training in electric forklift driving, but also how to maximize their time in the workplace, how to communicate effectively. And the interesting part of that program is that they all had to be first jobs. That is the first time they've had a job, and 70% women, which was a really interesting program. Another one that we worked on was we are currently working with a national electric company in Africa, where their goal is to have 40% women in these technical roles throughout the entire country within 8 years. So in a couple of months, we'll have our first pool of women that are moving into these technical roles, their first 50 that are going into that role. So we're very excited about that. We also have an event that we run, one in Ghana and one in Mozambique. These are annual events, and it's called Generation Ready. And it's a little bit of a unique event. Everyone attends conferences, constantly, but this is a one-day event that brings together government officials and CEOs of companies and mixes them with entry-level new hire trainees. And it gives everyone an opportunity to talk meaningfully about different perspectives in employment and employability issues. There's panels and discussions and a lot of networking time for that. And very often we find CEOs tell us that this is the first time in years they've had a chance to talk to somebody who just started in their career. As you can see by the date, ours in Maputo is on Friday, is our annual event. And then the last program I'll mention briefly is our employability platform. This is something that just launched this year in January. It is based on a program, an agreement with the government of Mozambique, where Field Ready has been asked to be an employability clearinghouse for students at all of the technical schools across the entire country. So it's something like 15,000 students that will now have access to webinars and training materials and advice for workplace situations and how to apply to jobs. And this is something that we're building in multiple other countries as we speak. So our goal is to create these sustainable programs that are beneficial to our clients, obviously, but also beneficial to individuals, that it is truly a win-win situation. And the end result is that the community, and focusing in this practical way, the local community always benefits from it. We've had some success at it, and I'm happy to say that the African Union has recognized us as one of the top education innovations on the continent. And so if you are interested in your staff looking as excited as this young lady here, feel free to give me a shout or send me an email at the contact. Thanks.
John, that was brilliant. Loved hearing about Field Ready in detail, and I think probably a model that you can replicate, which we'll come back to, because I think it's going to come up in the questions and answers, no doubt. But really, you know, we really appreciate you taking your time out today to come and share that with us. Fantastic. Thank you so much indeed. Looks really good. And I'm going to practice that stance.
That was for you, Jonathan.
Brilliant.
Cheers,
thank you so much indeed. Thank you so much. If you could stop sharing, we'll move on to the next speaker. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're moving on to the NPTC group of colleges. They're based in Wales. Christopher Manley is the Senior Lecturer for International Operations, which concerns the academic delivery, quality assurance, technical assistance, and the provision of expert advice and support of and for their international programs. He started at NPTC in 2004, and during the course of his career as a lecturer, he's taught learners on a wide range of levels from all sorts of abilities, from A-level and vocational courses, part-time delivery, to higher education on HNC, HND and degree programs, and delivery to a wide range of adults on part-time and full-time courses, and delivers on an international platform and in country in China.
Thank you, everybody. Some wonderful speakers this morning. So, you know, it's good to be here. Good to be part of this lovely SkillsFest. So, as Jonathan's mentioned, I'm Senior Lecturer for International at NPTC Group. So, what we've got in NPTC Group is we've been delivering sort of international things for about the last 10 years, and we've got active operations in China, India, Indonesia, Latin America and the Caribbean, United Arab Emirates and Vietnam, and we're looking for, you know, continuing this sort of this global scale and the things that we're doing. So the current developments that we have are in the sort of teacher training and vocational skills developments in Thailand. We've also got electronic vehicles being taken place in India, as well as a few other things as well. So we kind of look for quality assurance as well, in terms of external and internal. We've been voted as the best training provider in Wales. We've got sort of the top 10 in the UK of the School Leavers Award in 2020. We were ranked #1 in the British Council in the Independent Schools Inspectorate, and we have we're looking for widening up our global capacity and reach in terms of the things that we're going to be looking for doing. So it's trying to expand and looking for people that could be interested. So we first all start off with our local policy. So these are our sort of guiding principles and values. So we have, we're looking for developing business opportunities to make ourselves and our organisation a bit more financially secure and financially agile, looking for things to develop, you know, and because we have a lot of different expertise and skills in our staff, and that keeps looking forward and for the future, really. We look for key visits from key staff to support in terms of the international delivery, and also the delivery of academic services, teacher training, curriculum development and quality assurance. So the curriculum development, something along those lines would be looking for starting up new courses in countries where maybe something's just starting out, like for instance Internet of Things or the electronic vehicles, which is one of our sort of flagship courses that we're running at the moment. There's also then looking for a high level of engagement with government and other stakeholders. On a national policy, so the UK government has got 5 different strands. So we've got the international partnerships, research collaboration, scholarships and exchanges, education, diplomacy, quality assurance and accreditation. So what we like to do is to match our local policy with a national policy. So we start looking for additional countries for those international partnerships. The research collaboration is in conjunction with things like with China, where we seek to start up like an international teaching framework so that people have got benefits from both sides. The scholarships and exchanges, we start to look for students maybe coming to the college, which I mean is taking place in schools and things like that. But the scholarships then would be funding opportunities for students that want to come to the country and come to NPTC group of colleges to learn how we do things as being, the accolade that we've got. The educational diplomacy, so we are sort of open, we're quite transparent in our teaching practices, and we do get academics involved in various different things that we're doing. So everything's working along the same line towards that ultimate goal then of everybody learning from each other, which I'll come on to shortly. We got the quality assurance and accreditation. So we've just completed now an EQA qualification. Several members of staff are going to be delivering this in the UAE, and we sort of look for additional opportunities along that external quality assurance. So what ultimately we're doing is we're delivering quality kind of courses in terms of the teacher training and the EV, but we've also got the quality assurance to ensure that it's been delivered and being assessed in the correct fashion, so that ultimately NPTC Group's sort of elite or accreditation and accolade doesn't falter, doesn't go further down. So we still got that quality assurance across all avenues. So coming back to our guiding principles, so the values in international policy. So there is for an example, a UK-China partners framework where we're looking for business education, language teaching and assessment, teaching and sort of technical and professional education and training, sports education training, higher education and exchanges. So some of those I've already mentioned, but in terms of the kind of the higher education, so that's the kind of above level 4. So level 4 for us would be the ages 18 and above. So everything below that would be compulsory schooling. So the quality assurance to ensure that the students that are getting the right experience and the right understanding for what it is we're delivering. NPTC Group itself is industry focused, so all of the things that we're covering will be vocational and understanding exactly what the employer wants when the students actually leave our classes and our courses. So one of the things that we sort of tend to mention to students is that when we look for kind of future projection, we try and understand what the employers would want, and so we speak to the employers and find out what is the newest development, what's happening these days. So excuse me, so it's always trying to find that job that possibly doesn't exist just at the moment, but trying to predict exactly what skills would be needed in those things. So with our international delivery, so this is like where I come in now, where during the pandemic, as you can imagine, staff could not deliver, could not travel to the actual countries to deliver the courses that we've got. So we needed to look for alternative solutions, and the virtual learning environments that we use. So we've purchased and we've set up agreements with one of our partners. So what was happening then is that the courses could still be run using online platforms. It was accessible in country, and it also gave them a bit of a beneficial kind of interaction with staff. So we could set up these digital pedagogies so the students then could engage with the course and they could understand and sort of follow the material. So it's not to negate that there's other virtual learning environments available, but the one that we chose was specifically catered, and because we've got such a direct link with the developers, we are starting to see a lot more sort of interaction with the actual websites, rather than asking for emails and looking for notes to be sent out. So it actually runs on a Moodle platform, which I'm sure some of you, or probably most of you, will know about Moodle, but because it's sits outside of our college's framework, it's accessible then to all countries, and we've overcoming barriers, overcoming firewall issues. So it's direct communication with that kind of development sector, develop those developers, and being able to circumvent various different issues that could arise. So we're kind of right on top of those types of things. Excuse me. So we've actually developed this hybrid of online teaching, face-to-face and exchange. So if you've, for example, in a 30-week course, maybe the first week will be face-to-face, where teaching staff will go out to the country to deliver, and then there will be an online kind of element, so that there could be maybe 28 weeks of online, and then there would be an exchange where those students or those teachers from those colleges will come to our organisation to see how we deliver and to see how our expertise actually in play and the things that we can develop. But that's a model that we agree with our partners. So it's not sort of fixed in, 1 week, 28 weeks, and then another week. We sort of cater and we deliver exactly what the client wants. So the benefits of this particular hybrid approach is the versatility in the actual delivery. So there's the communication with NPTC group staff, as I've mentioned, access to course material, both future and previous. All those sessions that we deliver are recorded, so that if students are absent or if they wish to recap, we can edit those files so that maybe certain things can be, certain flags could be added, so that, if there was one particular thing about electronic vehicles and actually accessing one of the drive shafts or something like that, then they could look at that particular pin and say, well, that's the thing that I actually want to know. So they'll just watch that particular section. They can also submit work for assessment. As you can imagine, they can upload all of their documents, any video recordings, but also in one of the things that we're doing, which is portfolio submission, which is for the EQA qualifications, because it's a continual back and forth between the students and the staff. We can review what the students have created and then give them comments appropriately, feedback and feed forward, so that they're always sort of on top of what they're developing and in terms of understanding and the knowledge base. The students are also engaged in the blended learning model. So this sort of encourages students to become more autonomous. So what we try and do is that the students take on more responsibility for their own learning, and they don't push that back towards the members of staff. So they can, they have like a point A to point B. So they start off and think, well, I don't know this information, so what do I do? So the autonomous approach is there's a few steps that they can attract before actually getting to the member of staff, so that they can contact staff at the end and say, I've followed all these stages, what do we do now? And then what it does then, it improves that teaching and learning experience, as well as improving the students' retention and attainment of that particular course. So the hybrid approach is one sort of pedagogy that we've developed as a result of introduction of this digital platform, but also in terms of what's happened during the pandemic in our local college courses. And it's been extremely successful in terms of how we understand what the students want. So the coming down to the teacher training. So it was developed, I guess, about maybe 10 years ago. So it was the initial teacher training with expert tutors using the NPTC group pedagogical evolution. But there's continuous improvement and teaching practice. So we look for academics to work with. So there's 2 at the moment that we're working with that sort of have come on board. They've found out about us, and we're starting to expand that set of academics. So myself, I'm studying for an education doctorate as well. So, we try and get on top of all of this pedagogical influence and pedagogical updates. So this expanding list of academics and evolving approach means that what we actually deliver is relevant to the current practice, so that students aren't disadvantaged by, understanding a little bit more about their terms of teaching. So they could be already established teachers, but we bring to them more information about how they could improve those teaching practices and how things could be developed in such a more efficient fashion, both on online and face-to-face delivery as well. So what we actually deliver then is, we got the impact would be sharing good practices where we learn from our international partners. So we're not saying that everything we do, we are the best. We've got all this accolade, we've got all of these amazing things that we've achieved, but we share those best practices and we learn for those international partners. So we go into the colleges. For instance, myself, I was in China about 3-4 weeks ago, and I observed some classes. so that I could better understand the client and I could best put together something, a package to develop and actually teach the teachers, we call them students, but teach the students, teach the teachers exactly what they need to do in order to improve their working practices. But that's just to say that we could learn things from them as well. So we work collaboratively and actually achieve the best outcome for all. So that's both for ourselves and for the clients that we work with as well. So as a result of all of this kind of work in practice, we were awarded the prestigious 2023 Award of Excellence. We had the silver medal at the World Federation of Colleges and Polytechnics, which took place in Montreal earlier this year. And this was based on all of the teacher training things we're doing, as well as the a few little bits of cybersecurity, but also with the electronic vehicles and any other kind of curriculum mapping things that we get involved in. We've also then done something in terms of with India, so we've condensed the CBGE program, and this is actually part of the faculty development program, and that's such a small version of what we're actually developing that it's still the CPGE, but it's only top-up skills. So again, that's one of the things that the students or the actual organisation that we're working with wants to know, because they want to improve those practices. A few little problem solving, which I'll sort of go through quite quickly, is we did have some assessments come through from Chinese teachers, where obviously we don't have translators in-house. So we run this through an AI engine, and it was able to develop subtitles so that we could assess the work appropriately. And it meant that we knew exactly what was being delivered and how they were using the skills that they were developing in our teaching training courses. So additional to this, one of the issues that we've sort of come across is the lack of classroom management from various different additional sort of international schools. So what we looked at then is setting up these target settings and developing this autonomous student cohort with the creation and delivery of those resources, which ultimately results in increased engagement. So we show the teachers and the students how this can be done, and then it starts to develop, and then they start pushing that best practices across their own departments, and ultimately it means better retention and attainment. Another thing that we've kind of got involved in as well is regards to the classroom management, which is a direct result, was the student support. So we've got a bit of focus on health and well-being, as well as increased awareness in teachers in the different learning needs, as well as emotional difficulties. So in terms of what we've got in our own college, we've 602 further education ages, 16 plus, accessed the well-being support system that we've got within the college, and 162 higher education students accessed the same facility. But what we've actually developed then is this counselling system. So there's like a signposting where we've got mental health first aiders, where students can come directly to those members of staff. Those members of staff can then signpost directly to the appropriate facilities. We did have 198 inquiries, 171 completed their courses, with a 21 actually withdrawing. So there was, there's a little bit of contention between them, but we're improving those statistics. So it ultimately means improved attainment, retention, and attainment for all courses. So this is one of the things that we've actually come across as well with regards to student support. We had one particular student that was playing games in class, and this is one of those recorded sessions. And when I sort of conversed with the teacher, they sort of revealed that the child's parents split up, but the teacher didn't interfere, just left them to it. So at least it means that we've got a little bit of a understanding as to where those students are falling down, and maybe have something that we could improve and embed within their strategy for their members of staff, and how they could approach these in future by implementing the same things we've got within our college. So ultimately, I know I've sort of raced through this because I do apologise. What we're looking for is interested parties to join us in our collaborative journey. So we intend to expand our international operations globally, so to support, to assess the needs of the actual international clients, work collaboratively with you so that we can come up with a solution together, communicate with your staff, and support the implementation of the teacher training and the curriculum mapping and anything else that's involved, as well as that student support example I've just given. And we've got the curriculum mapping and delivery, and our aim here is to maintain cutting-edge approach with our experienced and dedicated staff, and to deliver high-quality sessions with world-class pedagogies, but also to help to deliver new courses and curriculum mapping based on the fact that the NPTC group is such a wide variety of staff, and we've got so much expertise available, being the largest vocational college in Wales, that we have got a lot of different areas of curriculum development and curriculum understanding, you know, from farming to IT to business, down to sports sciences, public services. We've got a lot of different expertise available. So if you wish to contact me, my details are on the screen, as well as my mobile phone number. So hopefully there'll be something in there that sort of spurred your interest a little bit, but please do so, get in touch, and I'll pass any information on I can, and maybe we can start up a conversation. Okay.
Thank you very much indeed, Christopher. Thank you so much.
Thank you
We're
very much,
slightly over time, so just need to move on to the Q&A session if we can, because we've got quite a few questions and answers. If I could ask all the speakers to come back on camera, please, that would be brilliant. So we've got a question for Kortext. Does the Kortext system work on any platform, on any computer, particularly if we're located in the Philippines and Indonesia?
Yeah, it does. Kortext, as I said, is a layer which sits above any LMS that's in operation. It works on any browser. It works on any, we've got a native app for Android, a native iOS app, and a Windows app as well. In terms of the capability, we've developed it so that it's online, offline as well. So quite often a learner in their learning environments, if they're physically going into an environment, will have great internet connection or great mobile connection, but when they actually leave that environment, they won't. Or if they're remotely, their connection may be on and off, maybe a bit shaky. So learners are able to download the content that they're working with and the course materials that they're working with when they're in a good internet connection. They're able to use all the tools that we've got and the tools that I outlined offline, and complete all their work offline, and then when they go back into a connection area, it just automatically syncs to their file.
Fantastic. And another question associated with this is, can it be built or embedded into our LMS? So I presume somebody's already got an LMS. Can it go into the back of another system?
Absolutely, yeah. It's actually designed to be used with an LMS. We embed with all the usuals, which tend to be Moodle, Blackboard, Canvas, now Instructure, D2L, Sakai, and others. We've got LTI interoperability, so we can embed links straight into an LMS. And in fact, that's our usual way of working, where we'll get module lists and lists of learners from an institution. We'll then put all the content via links into the LMS, and the learner turns up, clicks the link, and depending on the model that's being used by the particular institution that is managing the learner, they either will then go and pay for the content themselves, access free content, or access content that's been paid for as part of a fee to the institution.
Thank you so much, John. Really useful information. Thank you for answering that. Fabienne, so over to you. You talked about apprenticeships, and the question is that we don't have these in Thailand like this. So how do we build up our delivery of these? And if we do them, can they be UK apprenticeships, and can we get UK certificates?
Yep, so as part of our offer to international customers, we can offer a consultancy and training service so that we can help international training centres set up similar models. They wouldn't be regulated in the same way, because at the moment apprenticeships aren't regulated in the same way on the international basis, but we can help set up those same models. We can offer the training and delivery and assessment structures to support international training providers, but they would be able to receive UK accreditation and certification. So, sorry, I think somebody else has come on. Can everybody else hear that?
Yeah, no, it's sorry, it's my background noise.
Oh, okay, no problem. So yes, we will help support you to set up those similar structures so that you can deliver the apprenticeship models, and you will receive UK accreditation and certification for that. It just won't be regulated in the same way.
Thank you. And the second question actually related to that. So you might have just answered this, but it says, are your qualifications valid in Vietnam and Malaysia?
Yes, they are.
They are valid in Vietnam and Malaysia. They're on their systems,
yes.
are they?
Yes, so qualifications are available and they are recognised in Vietnam and Malaysia, yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Question for Luke, ALD. How can the ALD help me develop and improve my skills in China's manufacturing sector?
Yeah, so as I said during the presentation, we've got manufacturing and engineering experience. That's something we've done over the past 30 years. So in regards to how we set up the programme, that would be part of that devise process and consultation process. So we'd really like to understand what your requirements are, the size and scope of the opportunity. I'm assuming it will be a specific Chinese speaking language that would be looking to deliver in, which we've got trainers in China to be able to do. So yeah, I'd be really keen to have an off call conversation so we can chat about that.
Great, thank you so much. Got another couple of questions for you. Leadership and management is brilliant. Does it cover all industry sectors, or is it limited to a particular sector?
No, it can cover a whole multitude of different sectors. So, as I mentioned, we've covered public service, civil service. We've covered high-tech manufacturing, professional services, engineering, construction, and hospitality. So we've covered the breadth of industries that there is. So yeah, absolutely, we can cover all sectors, all industries.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. And that last question for you was, you mentioned the return on investment processes. How do you use these in association with skills development?
Good question. Very good question. So typically we align them to the apprenticeship frameworks and standards when we look to quantify how we've helped a learner progress. So they are knowledge, skills and behaviours. So we align all of our regulated and non-regulated qualifications to the apprenticeship standards and frameworks so we can assess distance travelled of a learner. So when it comes to return on investment, we're looking at what knowledge, what skills, what behaviours have they developed. We use a diagnostic assessment to understand what was their starting point versus what was their end point, so we can understand individual development, but then we also look at a range of business metrics such as staff attrition rate, staff retention rate, well-being, distance travelled. So we use a lot of business metrics as well.
Thank you so much indeed. Okay, I think we are moving on now to the School of Coding. So question around the boot camps, and can you tell me more about the boot camps? Can we have them in any country? Particularly interested in having them in the Philippines and potentially in Indonesia. And how do we build them up to be the shape that we want? So it's a question for Manny.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, so the boot camp can be run in any country. We're currently running them in 17 different countries, both in Europe and in Asia as well. And the way they run is we would deliver 12 weeks to 16 weeks intensive learning, whether it's coding, AI, or cybersecurity, depending on which topic, or you can have a combination of all three. And what we tend to do is take cohorts of 20 students at a time, but we normally run 3 cohorts simultaneously. And after that, we actually give you an e-learning platform loaded with the resources so that you can continue to deliver the boot camps and the students can continue to learn themselves as well.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much indeed. No, brilliant. At RMI, you talked about lots of teacher training and automotive centres. Are RMI able to have centres delivering qualifications in Thailand, and how do we go about this?
Yes, the answer is the foundation principle of IMI is to appoint IMI approved centres in, for example, Thailand, and that would either be an independent training provider or an educational institution. And after some discussion and assessment of the centre, IMI will approve the centre and its trainers to deliver IMI qualifications and the curriculum, and they have access to the material resources that go with it. So we'd be delighted to hear from anyone who's interested in setting up an IMI centre in Thailand.
And Herbert, you mentioned teacher training or capacity building. So the question that's come in is, can you tell me if the teacher training is government recognised and leads to a qualification that is recognised globally?
Yes, IMI qualifications are recognised by industry and by some governments, not all, but by some. So, for example, in China, where we work very closely with the Ministry of Human Resources and the Ministry of Education and some other countries, IMI qualifications are recognized as being industry-related, industry-focused. So the benefit of using IMI teacher qualifications in automotive, I stress, we're talking here about specifically automotive training and automotive teachers, is that IMI qualifications are widely recognized as the world-leading benchmark in the sector.
Thank you so much, Herbert. You've got a second question. Can you tell me how you can help our vocational college get ready to teach your auto courses?
Do we know where the college is located?
Let me just have a quick look. So it looks like it's India. Actually, it's two places. So it's India, Bangladesh.
Okay, very good. Actually, we welcome that that interesting question from India, and we have done some work in the past with the Automotive Industry Development Council and other interested people. The college should make itself known to me or through you, Jonathan, and then there's a process that takes place where we talked about to the college about their automotive cohort, about what they want to do, what kind of training, because although IMI is focusing more recently on new energy vehicles, IMI covers all automotive qualifications and training and teaching for all of those jobs. So please make contact and we'll be happy to talk.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. And actually, you've got a third question. I should have picked it up just now. It says, do you have any data on skills in the auto sector that will help us with our training of people?
Yeah, we have lots of data. We have a research organization which is responsible for that. Perhaps the most general interesting thing is talking about return on investment. We carried out a return on investment study for the South African government several years ago, over 2 years, which demonstrated that apprentices who followed an IMI curriculum and a formal curriculum against those who did not delivered a return on investment of around 300%. So in the South African context, for every R1 spent by the government on training, they got R300 back in some form or other. So again, please make contact, and if we have the information available to your inquirer, we'll be happy to share that.
Fantastic. Now we're moving over to Field Ready. So John Elsner, there is a comment in the chat for you from Dr. Ying. So if you haven't seen it, please do check it out. If you want the contact details for Dr. Ying, I've got her contact details. So just let me know and I can forward those on and you can connect directly. But there is a question here as well. The link of skills and employment is essential. Is the Field Ready model available in other countries? And how would we go about working with you to set one of these up?
Thanks, Jonathan. In short, it is applicable in really any country. The idea is really the system, focusing on relationships, focusing on working with the parties involved, understanding what the education system actually provides and what employers are looking for, and then matching that up. So absolutely, it really works in every country, and would be very happy to chat about that. All of the issues, if you simply removed all of the usual suspects, all the names, you would never know we were talking about working in Nigeria or Cote d'Ivoire, or whether or not we're working in Thailand and China. It's simply, they are the same issues across the board. It's just what the actual issues end up being. The types of issues are the same: cultural issues, communication issues, expectations, those type of things. Those are all the same. It really is the specificity about those issues that is what changes. And so would be very happy to work with anyone in discussing developing a field-ready type of approach.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. You've got some more questions. How do you go about building the strong links that you have with training organizations and employers to create internships?
Right. Well, I guess it's again taking a step back for looking at relationships. You know, we've had 20 years run at this, where we build up relationships with training companies all over the world. A great example is I had a client that the other day that said, well, we want to run this certain type of program, and by the way, it needs to be in a Portuguese-speaking country, and it has to be outside of Africa. So the parameters are what's set by the employer. So we, you know, look in our Rolodex, the database, and find, you know, a group that we've worked with before in Lisbon, just as an example for that. So it's all down to relationship and building up those relationships over a long period of time. The same is true locally times 10. It really is being out there at the institutes. We have we have local staff on the ground wherever we work, and our teams are involved on a day-to-day basis, meeting with educational institutes, talking with students, everything from how are you doing, and oh, you just got married and have a new job, to working with ministers and discussing with them what the government policies are and how those are changing. You may have noticed at the Generation Ready event, we have, it's sponsored by 2 ministries in Mozambique, just as an example. So it's the grassroots all the way through the highest levels. It's building those relationships and giving people the opportunity to talk about really what is important.
Thank you so much. You have 2 more questions left. It's like a quiz master here, isn't it? I know you said the Field Ready program is free to students. How does the finance of the scheme happen? So essentially, who pays?
Sure. That happens in different ways, as one might imagine. Sometimes there is a large nonprofit that says, as a part of this initiative, we would like you to do A, B, C, and D. Other times we have governments. Nigeria comes to mind. That logistics distribution center I was talking about was funded by the Nigerian government, and so that sometimes happens. Most of the time, it happens from companies themselves. We have as clients all the usual groups you might imagine on the global basis, InBev and you know, Coca-Cola and those, but also just very local companies too. And it's finding out what their needs are and addressing those. But most of the programs are paid for by companies themselves. And just as a quick side to that, sometimes that's for a specific result, like we would like to ultimately hire 300 people in this area. Other times it's all about localization. It's all about giving to the community, and they're willing to spend a certain amount of their budget in order to see that happens. And then we help guide them in having the most impact.
Thank you so much. And the last question actually probably could be a question from everybody. It's how can they contribute learning materials and support to your clearinghouse model?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I would say reach out to me because it's a fascinating area that I won't take up too much time to talk about. But on that employability platform, it really is as big as we can imagine. That we have companies that come to us that say, we would like to build into this a maritime safety aspect. Can you put together a course for us on this that we could offer online to students that are interested in going into maritime safety? And the answer is, oh, it's sure. And so you know, it goes in every different direction. Automobile safety is another one. Banking, financial empowerment on the local level. We have banks that sponsor our employability platform because they want to get the message out on how to work in finance for a pool of people that may not have that knowledge. And of course, the end result is a stronger economy and people having more bank accounts and utilizing financial institutions more. Absolutely, reach out to me if you would, and I'd love to chat with you about that.
Sounds like a great opportunity for UK organisations to connect as well. Over to Wales now, and a question from our audience was, what is the main or critical challenges to training teachers in China that you've experienced so far? Christopher.
Thanks, Jonathan. Yes, I was sort of in the middle of typing a response because that was an extremely good question. I think in my experience, it's down to influencing teachers. You know, for instance, you know, some teachers have got a kind of set standard how they deliver, and trying to influence how they change things for the betterment of the students and for themselves, so that they're not overly exhausted at the end of a class session. And some of that comes back to the difference in the class sizes, because I mean, some of the teachers I've spoken to have got class sizes of up to about 60, you know, whereas ours are a lot less than that, maybe 20 to 30 students. So it was implementing strategies of management where, you know, ask, for instance, like the best 10 of the group to sort of have their own little group of students. They work with them and then use that as a solution. And in fact, one of the things I've done was I've taken a recording of that produced session, and they end up being influenced by each other. So you show them that it works, show them how it works, and then help them along with it. And it's been a really interesting experience, because ultimately at the end of it, you're trying to get them to just think slightly differently.
Christopher, again for you, does your teacher training lead to a national qualification, and is it different from what's delivered in England?
Okay, so the PGC, which is the one postgraduate certificate of education, is established in the UK. It's in, you know, England, it's in Wales, it's in Scotland, it's the whole of the UK. So what we've developed is a certificate of postgraduate education, which is a college sort of attendance certificate. But because we're not actually teaching students to become teachers, we are training them to deliver in our kind of expertise. We update their knowledge and their understanding of teaching to be able to deliver like us. So we are looking at, we've just sort of formed a close bond, a close partnership with one of the awarding bodies, and we are looking to deliver something which is an actual UK accredited teaching certificate. So we are working on it, that as the future, but at the moment it's just improving what teachers can do, but just showing them how we do it.
Thank you very much indeed. No, I'm really conscious that one on the money here in terms of timing. I have one more question for you, Christopher. How do you develop programs with employers as a college?
Oh, right. Okay. So we've got very close links to the industry. So, for instance, you know, I've got a database development background, so we do speak to them like the DVLA, and we try and kind of first of all show them exactly what we do and how we do it, and then trying to bring those members of staff over. So it's like a small seed that eventually just starts growing. And then once we've got those close links with both the Welsh government and the UK government in terms of the skills strategy for the UK in where skills are going to develop, then we start looking and say, well, look, this is the development that we see your industry going to be in the future. Is there anything that we could do? But we don't push that. We always try and talk and collaborate and develop that communication, you know, that open dialogue. So that's our kind of apprenticeship model, and how we kind of expand and how we've been working with it for the last number of years.
And the very final question goes to all of you, 30 seconds from each of you on why anyone would want to connect with you and use your company and use your products and services. So 30 seconds, no more. You've got to give us your elevator pitch. And we're going to start, Christopher, with you, and we're going to go around in the order that I can see on the screen. So Christopher, you're up first.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, 30 seconds, that's quite a number. Okay, so in terms of where we are in the college, vocational college, we do academic delivery as well, but what we've got is it's the largest landmass. We've got like 30% of the whole of the landmass of Wales has been delivered by NPTC Group, and because of that, we've got 7 different campuses, lots of different industries. We've got, like I said, farming, we've got computing, we've got lots of different things going on. And where we are is we deliver this to our students, and we bring the international thing across and say, well, look, well, because we do it and we do it so well, do you want some of this? And usually the answer is yes.
Thank you so much. Manny, over to you.
Yeah, so School of Coding, as the largest coding education provider in the UK, we can help with filling digital skills gap, especially in the new technologies education, which is AI and cyber. And we can help develop teachers so that they can teach these subjects further to the generations to come, but also we can provide resources for teachers so that they're ready to go. And finally, we can offer coding boot camps directly to the youth of almost every country.
Thank you so much. John, over to you.
Hi. Yeah, we are around about 10 years old now. We've experienced hypergrowth, which means that we have really learned, and we've learned what both teachers and learners know through our relationships with 4,000 plus universities worldwide. When you couple that with content needs, all courses, any level, be it corporate, apprenticeships, university, need content. We have access to the content of 4,700 publishers worldwide and growing. We have great relationships with them, and we've built some market-leading learning tools around the content that we provide, which incorporate AI tools with automatic summaries, automatic ability to create questions for students as they learn, and most importantly, we collate lots and lots of data about learners so that anyone learning anywhere or teaching learners anywhere can intervene and help those who are struggling.
Thank you so much indeed. It's over to Luke now.
Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, so we are the trusted provider across 7 continents to deliver leadership management training with multinational corporations and businesses with billions of pounds worth of revenue. Our award-winning familiarisation process is the trusted go-to process for companies to develop leaders and managers through an immersive learning environment. And we provide a 400% return on investment and have done for the past 30 years.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. John Elsner this time.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'd say that an important focus of what we do at Field Ready is that it's very real world. It's very practical. It focuses on what companies and people are looking for and where they're at that moment. The second aspect of this is that it's all very scalable. That may be running a coaching program for 4 people that is in some rural location to an entire refit of a factory 2-year program in Nigeria. So it's really the same basic principle, all based on relationship, all based on real world issues.
Thank you so much indeed. Now, I'm going to just flip a coin here. Fabienne.
Thanks, Jonathan. So in terms of bio, AIM Group have been around for 40 years and have an established footprint in over 40 international countries. So we've got a tried and tested model. But I think in terms of customer service, our customers tell us that they work with us because we are responsive, flexible, provide high quality, and we're easy to work with, which is what everybody wants. We are actually a non-profit organisation, so we're able to keep costs low. But I think the main important thing is that we're responsive and we're always here to help. So there you go,
Fantastic.
Short and sweet.
And last but not least then is Herbert. Hello, Herbert.
Thanks. Well, for any of our lovely audience who are interested in automotive, I guess it has to be IMI because we've been around for a long time, but importantly, our business model, which is also not-for-profit, enables IMI to help your educational establishments, TVET in particular, private training providers, or indeed governments who want to ensure that the training provided to students in the automotive sector is up to date, relevant for today's interstate business. So because it's local at all levels, local teachers, local students, and local delivery with local people, not being parachuted in from other countries, but local. That's a sustainable model that works very well, and I would recommend that to anyone interested in automotive training.
Thank you so much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of today's SkillsFest session. If I could just thank our speakers first of all, which is John White from Kortext, Fabienne Bailey from AIM Qualifications and Assessment Group, Manny Athwell from School of Coding and AI, Luke Whiting from Yarway Group and ALD, Herbert Lonsdale from the Institute Field Ready Ltd, is the celebration that they do, and Christopher Manley, of course, from NPTC Group of Colleges in Wales. Thank you so much indeed for your time and energy and your expertise this morning. For everybody else, the materials, the presentations and the recordings will be made available on Friday after the last SkillsFest session closes. And yes, it's not the end of it. We have another session this afternoon. So those in the east of the world that are still awake at 4 o'clock UK time in the afternoon here, we will be back on with new speakers, new sessions, new topics. If you're around tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning UK time and Friday UK time, again, we have new session with new topics and new speakers. Join us again. I'm Jonathan Ledger. This is the Department for Business and Trade. It's goodbye from us. Thank you.